These are the tales and ramblings of two men, their dream of running a successful food truck business and life. We invite you along to join Josh and Skippy on this journey. This is Monday Morning Food Truck.
Good morning, Skippy.
Morning, Joshua.
How are you today? Are we drinking beer already?
I'm whipped. I'm whipped today. I am whipped.
You had a good weekend.
I had a fun weekend.
First of all, welcome everybody. Sorry, we kind of skipped over that part.
Hey.
Oh,
How's
hey.
everybody doing?
We got a couple people in the audience on our on Riverside. No one yet on YouTube, but that's okay. They'll get there. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe, like wherever you are listening to us. Please,
Smash the
Appreciate
subscribe
it.
button and the
Smash
reminder
it.
bell.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, sorry. You had a fantastic weekend. Best ever.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Like really good. Here's what I can tell you though: that setting up a Square online thingamabobby really is time consuming.
You mean a store?
Yeah,
For online? Yeah, it is.
it is not very user friendly. Just saying. But
That's why
3:30 this morning trying to figure it out.
that is why my site is all black and white with just text.
Oh yes,
And
mine as well.
like I started getting into the customization stuff. I was like, oh, this is more effort than I have time for right at the moment.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
yeah, so we had a Friday and a Saturday at our new dine in home, I guess.
I'm calling it a ghost kitchen.
I mean,
Kinda.
relatively. Relatively.
You're not permanent there,
Definitely not.
or
permanent.
will you be?
They want me to be bad, like bad. They want me to be.
Well, it sounds like you have a 2 location setup going.
Uh,
You will beat me in sales, you fucker.
I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, it's easy for me to. Yeah, they could stay open like late no matter what, but their winter hours are till 2 or open till 2, and then their um, summer hours or non-winter hours are until 4. So we'd have to figure that part out. But they have a
Well,
whole back area that's unfinished that they want to make my commercial kitchen. I'm like, ooh, yeah, but they don't have a lot of parking. So for me to like pull my trailer up and get it loaded, might not be the best idea.
well, what if you just move stuff into there via Cambros? You don't need to drop your trailer to. I mean, let's think this through a little bit. And this is kind of the scenario I was hoping for
It's a lot of
with the meeting
transportation.
I had last. That's not that bad.
I mean, it is.
So you have a separate square for that location. You keep some essentials there, so you don't have to move everything every time.
Mm-hmm.
You have some refrigerated space there, so you don't have to move coleslaw. You only have to move cooked meat
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and set up and go. So you have 2 Cambros full of meat that you have to drop off to whoever's working that location, and they go.
But if that's my
Do it.
hold on, if that's my permanent kitchen, well, then I got to spend 20 grand on a build out. I'm not sure I want to do that either.
No, just do it like you're doing it right now.
I'm taking over. Well, it's possible, but I don't. I mean, my trailer is my commercial kitchen.
Right, and that doesn't have to change.
But they want to build a commercial kitchen.
Well, that's fine if they want to. That's up to them.
I don't know. I'm going to rent it.
Are you already paying rent or no?
5% of sales.
See, that's not bad.
It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. Like the idea is there. The idea is possible. The other problem is they don't have any parking lot lights at all. Now in the spring, summer, and fall, that might not be a big deal, but we're dead by 7.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing I sell out rather quickly. And to all you people that say, cook more, it's not that simple, people. It is not that simple at all. Just saying.
Sure it is.
No, as much as you tell people, as much as you tell your customers, hey, if you're looking at this and this, I can take pre-orders for this and this. Send me a message before Thursday. What do we do? Oh, let's call me Friday morning. Hey, can you pre-order this, this, and this? And then by the time I walk in, I have maybe 2 racks of ribs left. And then I got a nice lady who comes in and wants to buy both of them. What do? Tell her no? No, of course not.
No, of course
You
not.
sell out before you even open up.
But I mean, now you're 3 weeks in, right?
Yes.
You've sold out of ribs quickly all 3 weeks.
No, I've had 3 left over at one point.
Total out of 3 weeks?
Yes.
Was that all in 1 week?
That was one Saturday, yes.
Yeah. So the rest of the time you've sold out.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, did I just get louder?
You're echoed.
No. Oh, okay.
You sound like you're in a subway tunnel.
How about now?
You're perfect.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Sorry about that. Something had changed in my microphone settings. So I was a little bit quiet last week and it started out the same way. So I've been fiddling in the background.
Please, people, tell me how I am, because I'm actually using that headset now.
I know, it's amazing.
I know, it's great.
Looks like you're on a long haul trucker route.
I am, absolutely. It's my years of
Bounce around in your seat a little bit.
My years of mortgages are finally paid off. A lot of equipment. Anyway, so this past weekend, we did a 4 to 8 on Friday, and we did a 3. We changed the hours to 3 to 7 on Saturday. And I can't tell you if it worked 3 to 7, but this was by far the best Saturday we had. So I hope
the weather was pretty good too.
the weather was good. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
The weather was good. Very sunny out. We had records. So yeah, we did records this weekend. I think we had a total of like 65 covers. A lot of dine-in. People came from all over the world. Just fun stuff.
Just to see Skippy.
Yeah, just
World famous.
We are big in India.
Yes, we are.
So it was very cool. We also added barbecue plates, the traditional barbecue, and that sold well. It was probably a little over a quarter of our sales for the weekend. And we just did one meat, two meats, and a side and a piece of cornbread, and people loved it. We're not saucing anything anymore. We're letting people sauce themselves. I think my longest ticket time was a little over 5 minutes, just because of the amount that people ordered. Average ticket I'm on Square right now, just doing the math, but I can tell you that the average ticket is $33.49
That's pretty good
for the last couple. So gross sales of about 2,200 for this weekend, and lately, I'll give you the last 2 have been pretty close to the same, right around 1,600. So. We also added chicken quarters, which people seem to love for some reason. Love. Like love.
Well, good. I'm glad you had a good weekend. Cook a couple extra ribs the next weekend.
Oh boy. I already have 20 going in a week, or 20 a weekend so far. So I guess I got to bump it to what, 22?
I'd go 12 a day.
Yeah.
That's only 2 more racks a day if you do 12 and 12.
Yeah, and then if I have to throw them out, that just means that I didn't make
it. Yeah, as long as you sell the other 10, you're fine. I mean, you're not going to make as much money, obviously, but I mean, you're not losing money. For us, we got to. I mean, we went through all the food costs and everything. So
yeah,
sell half, and you're breaking even on the ribs.
Yeah,
type of thing. So.
And then can I talk about my Sunday? So
Oh, yeah, we got like 19 minutes, so go ahead.
Okay. So there has been a TikTok reviewer, or a couple of them, that have come to Detroit. Keith Lee, shout out to Keith Lee. He's pretty cool. I like his reviews. And then he's from Vegas, I think. He's a former MMA fighter turned TikTok food reviewer. And then Mr. Chime Time. I don't remember his first name, but he's from, I think, North Carolina. He's made up to come up to Detroit. Um, and they both reviewed the same food hall. And if you're not familiar with what a food hall is it's basically a food court with this place. The place we went to in Detroit was called What You Want to Eat, and it's a black-owned business, and he fosters. They're all black-owned businesses or food concepts inside, and it was really, really cool. They had anything you could possibly want: barbecue, tacos, wings, burgers, chicken waffles, um, rice bowls, cheesecake, ice cream, whatever you wanted. And so he's got. I went with another food truck buddy of mine, and we got to talk to the owner. And the owner was kind of giving us a lowdown on how he built this and like what he does. And it's basically the government is giving grants to anybody that will restore or repurpose like abandoned buildings, and they will pay for half of the renovation costs. So he did this, and the rent for, I'm going to say it's either a 20 by 20 spot, is it's either 15 by 15 or 20 by 20. They're all squares. It's 3,000 a month. Now that 3,000 a month, all you have to do is bring your food and your POS. They cover everything else. Your equipment's in there, your to-go containers, your the only thing else that you have to pay for is your or your utilities, and chip in. They share garbage pickup cost. And I'm thinking to myself, $3,000 a month. This guy's making 45 grand um, off of the 11 vendors that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And not really. I mean, and he owns one of the. It was a bodega that has like hot dogs and stuff like that. Um, Interesting concept, like very interesting concept. Very no seating. There's a little patio right out front on the road, but no seating. Most of 90% of it's to go. Um, I think they do have a couple benches that you can sit and wait for. I tried the barbecue spot there. Honestly, I wasn't impressed. I had to wait at least 25 minutes for a loaded mac and cheese and 4 ribs. Um, but is what it is. And we also went to the burger place there. The burger was good. It was a nice smash burger. It had the good crust on the outside. Um, so that was What You Want to Eat. The second one we went to, actually, that was the second one. The first one we went to was called the Detroit Shipping Company. And you think, okay, Detroit Shipping Company, that's got to be like a place to ship things, parcel service or whatever. And no, this was a food hall built out of shipping containers. Um, I have pictures on my phone. I didn't upload them yet, but we're going to upload them to the Facebook feed. So check it out. But if you're in Detroit, this one was really cool. They had a full bar on the inside. Then they had a burger spot, what I believe was like an Indian spot, Indian food, curry, stuff like that. Um, Thai street food, the Coop, which was a chicken joint, and then a Mediterranean halal joint. And if you're not familiar with what halal is, it's basically meat that's been blessed and humanely killed according to like Arabic laws. Since Detroit is a big Arabic community too, or close to it. And then they had a retail shop up top that was selling like clothes and things like that, and a coffee joint. It was all family seating. Basically, you all got to know each other. And then upstairs was booths, but it looked like they took like half a pew, like a church pew, cut it in half, and then nailed it to the wall on each side. And that was your seat, was an old church pew. I did get asked if I could lend somebody 25 cents so we could go get a honey bun. I politely declined. Um, but other than that, it was a really, really cool place. Look for the pictures here on the Facebook feed later today. It was, both of those food reviewers gave it top notches. From there, I tried. So it was a chicken. It was called the Coop, so it was everything chicken, but it was Caribbean fusion chicken. And so I got the spicy chicken sandwich that had, it was like 2 tenders, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and bacon jam. Okay, that sounds good. I bit into it. I don't know what I could taste. Well, actually, sorry, there was one thing I did taste. It was vinegar, and I don't know if that's from the heat or from the coleslaw or what, but it was like straight vinegar and then the barbecue sauce. Tenders were good, and then my buddy got jerk chicken wings. They were fire, and I don't mean fire as in like what the kids are saying now, fire. I mean like they had my mouth on fire. They were hot. They were real hot. The coffee shop also up top did nitrogen, like ice cream, I guess is what it's called, where they put like the milk in a blender and then pour nitrogen or liquid nitrogen in it and it freezes. Very interesting. Like it's not soft ice cream. It's like it's almost called like those, what are those little bites? Those little circles. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, it was like iced cream, not ice cream. It wasn't smooth. Other than that, it was fun. I like the concepts. Oh, sorry, we talked to one of the owners there, and they said their rent's $2,600 a month, and it can go up to as much as $5,000 a month because everything is shared. So your electric is shared, your garbage is shared, your dishes are shared. Now, all these shipping containers, they didn't have sinks in them. They were straight kitchen, and that was it. They had one sink or one 3-bay sink and washing station, and I believe the actual owner of the food hall hires people to wash dishes for everybody, and then they go in after they close to wash their own, because everything was served on the same barbecue metal trays that you see.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, a fun experience. It's about an hour outside of where I'm at in Jackson. I'll throw the addresses up in the chat here so people can see. But it was very cool, cool concepts.
Our soon-to-be guest in a few minutes, Alan, just chimed in. So there's a company that uses shipping containers. Excuse me. For buildings in Grand Rapids that is looking at the idea of building a shipping container food truck park, very much in just the idea stage. But yeah, I think that'd be awesome. Container Park in Las Vegas is a pretty cool spot, and it's kind of the same thing. It's a U-shaped, and it's a 2-story container area that's got some small boutique shops and some vendor service out of it too. So
there's one in Battle Creek too, right across street from Kellogg Arena. There's like 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6, and it's just little boutique shops.
Yeah. I think it'd be great along the Riverside Park area that's being built up with the amphitheater, and they're trying to make the Grand River area very walkable and hip. So
would you call these like incubators? Like, okay, so you got a good, let's say you open up a burger joint and your burgers are great, right? And people are coming, whatever. If you're paying that much in overhead and just rent, how could you get out of there and open up your own spot, or do you even, if that's successful, why change it? Like, to me, that seems like a lot of money in just rent.
There's people paying that or more for food truck leases.
Are you speaking from experience?
I was paying $2,500 for my trailer. Like
Yeah,
for me paying $3,
but it's yours.
like after, well, I don't understand, but after leasing for 4 years at close to that price, $3,000 doesn't seem bad.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants a 30-seat restaurant. You know what you don't have to worry about? You don't have to worry about plumbing. You don't have to worry about the roof leaking. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure inside the building. None of that's your responsibility.
True.
So
Yeah.
for that $3,000, because you're going to have a mortgage payment regardless, you're going to be paying on the property. You don't have property taxes. You get peace of mind. For some people, that's enough. You know, I'm happy to pay all that and not have to think about it.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, if you don't want a 40-seat restaurant or a 100-seat restaurant to then have to manage staff for that space.
Yeah, each place
Just like some
can
people are
have like 2 to 3 people working in it.
Yeah. So we got the downtown market in Grand Rapids, which the main floor is all small shops and stuff. There's like ice cream and gelato, and it's all very boutique. Slow's Barbecue is based out of there, so that was the biggest restaurant in that area.
Are they still there? Or did they close?
They closed. So yeah, it's I don't know what the rent is down there, but I'm guessing it's a similar type situation. But I'm gonna guess it's more than $3,000 a month, just because it's downtown Grand Rapids and you can't get anything for that price down there. So, but yeah, and then the upper floor they do it's event space, and they actually do cooking classes and stuff up there too. So, downtown market in Grand Rapids is a pretty cool area. He said the world's largest food truck park is in the U.S. 65 trucks, Kissimmee, Orlando, Florida area. So I can't imagine having 65 trucks set up all the time at one spot. Of course, Kissimmee, Orlando is a much larger area, but we'll talk a little bit with Alan about event sizes and food truck sizes and kind of where we're at with what the state of the food truck environment is in Michigan. So I know we have some events here that are starting to scale back the number of trucks per event. So interested to talk to him about saturation and what he's seeing for events and truck numbers. So anywho, Alan, don't forget you're gonna have to switch links and use the guest link soon. If you do that again, let me know.
Anyway, it was fun.
Well, good. I'm glad you had a very eventful weekend.
Yes.
Also, in that Facebook, if you can attach the TikTok handles of the reviewer that you had mentioned.
Yes.
That would be great. Chad, well, what would a reasonable rate for a food truck spot? You had the guy from Drift at one time. I guess that's two different questions. Are you talking about a permanent location for us to set up at, or a use of an indoor kitchen like Skippy is using?
So I pay 5% of my sales, gross sales. I don't do that.
For Menard's real estate corporate agreement, at least when we did it a couple of years ago, was $600 a month, and we could set up as often as we wanted to for that month. As long as they were open, we could be there. He said, so let's say a large parking lot beer garden that was a food truck friendly. I don't know. Alan could probably help us with that when he gets on a little bit. For the breweries and stuff that we set up right now, we're not paying anything. With power, water, and gray water drop, I have not.
That's few and far between.
I haven't seen that set up in Grand Rapids. I know there's a couple things that are being worked out. There's another food truck park that is in the planning stages. They have bought property that will offer that, and they're looking for like a 6-month commitment at a time, I think.
So we run Food Truck Tuesdays in our little downtown area in Jackson. We are charged $75 a setup day. You're good?
Hello. I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
I was just looking at my other screen real quick.
I'm hearing a reverb.
I was tapping that.
Yes.
Sorry, I was tapping on my desk with my fingers.
Right. So they charge us $75 for, and they're changing the hours. It was 11 to 1 last year. They're doing 11 to 3 this year. That includes full up to 50 amp hookup. You need to obviously drain your own water. So we are looking at a food truck park. So there's a restaurant that the owner or co-owner got deported for some bad things, and it's been sitting dormant. It's been sitting. There's two rumors on what it was. So one of them was kind of funny, streaking. Anyway,
You can get deported for streaking.
Cops are called and you don't have papers. I guess so. The other.
So he didn't get deported because he was streaking. It just happened to lead to the other arrest.
Yeah, it leaded to you go bye-bye. Yeah. We don't want to see your naked rear end here again. Anyway, but they opened up they bought a building that was an old steakhouse, and it's been sitting dormant ever since. So I approached somebody that knew him that also has a hey, they have the liquor license. They can open up the building for just bar service and seating. Maybe have a bar back for somebody washing glasses, and then the parking lot is huge where they could at least have 6-8 food trucks, easy.
Yeah.
As long as they're all self-contained. Obviously, there's no power or water out there, but most of us come well prepared to begin with. But that would be, personally, I think that's a moneymaker. I don't know what the pizza joint, the bougie pizza joint next door, would think about it, but screw them. So
I guess my best answer to your question, Chad, if I could set up at a location permanent, 6 days a week, and they were going to provide power, let's say water, and they had a disposal method for gray water, right? I didn't have to move the trailer, and I could, dump however while I'm there. So I'm self-contained. I don't ever have to move the trailer. For me, if it's a good spot that I'm making money at, I'd pay a couple $1,000 for me to set up 25 days a month. I'm less than $100 a day.
Yeah, I think $100 a day would be good. And if you're going to say, I see your comment about come as you wish. It really depends. The people that are putting these parks together probably do want some sort of commitment, so they know how they can recoup their cost. There was
that they can have a consistent number of trucks there that they can advertise.
Yeah.
So when people come, it's not going to be they're going to show up and there's not any trucks there that day.
So there was a food truck show on, I think it was the Cooking Channel. I can't remember the guy's name. Eddie something or other. Anyway, he owned a food truck park in Texas, and he owned the beer garden, and then he had 3 food trucks, and then he invited a new one. And he invited 3 new ones, but then they have a cook-off to see which one he likes better. And they throw them in. And if they can do better sales than one of his regulars, then they get moved to the regular lineup and they redo the whole thing. That way they can at least advertise, okay, you got your core trucks, but we're going to invite a couple new ones. It'd be good, if the core trucks were in town, not in state, but in county where everybody knew where to find them. And then maybe invite, a couple out of town trucks that,
Yeah.
But I think that's what they want is the advertising.
If it was come as you wish, like I paid a certain amount to be able to set up whenever I wanted at a location, kind of like the Menards thing. I think $500-$600 was fair, especially if there's no limit on how often I can set up. So, and then it's just making sure that you get there enough times to make it worth your while.
Yeah, just make sure at the end of the day you're paying money. Make sure that money is worth it.
Yeah, fortunately for us, as of right now, the only spots we're paying for are festivals. I don't pay for any roadside spots, and a couple of those do offer power. So, which is always a bonus. Most often we don't even use it. We still run off our generators, just mostly because I don't trust other people's power. And a lot of people don't know what they are offering for power. So unless I have my voltmeter with me that I can make sure that I got 110 coming into the truck, not 220 coming into the truck, I don't hook up to anything. So, anywho, I think we had a drop in our numbers. I think Alan is switching links to be our guest. I hope.
Be our guest. Be our guest. Put our rambling to the test.
Yes, he is in the lobby. So I'll give a quick introduction. Alan Tomlinson, one of the two, owner of the Underground Cookie Club and president, I believe is his title, at the Grand Rapids Food Truck Association. We will bring him in, and we will welcome Alan. Good Monday morning to you, sir.
Hold on, is that Alan or Chris?
Just look a little bit like Chris.
Hey guys.
What's going on?
Hey, all us food truck guys grow beards in the winter because it's the only time we can get away with it.
2 inches.
You usually have a pretty good beard, though, Alan, don't you? Not that long, normally.
Yeah, I deal with events and ice cream sandwiches, so don't have to worry about the food getting into it.
Alan, I kind of gave you a small, quick intro. Owner of the Underground Cookie Club, president, correct, of the Grand Rapids Food Truck Association. You want to give us a little bit of your food truck background? I know you owned a food truck before it was cool.
Right. So obviously, like most business owners, particularly food truck owners, I wear a lot of hats. So I have my business side. From that, I have my own food truck and brick and mortar called Underground Cookie Club. We specialize in artisan ice cream sandwiches, so we make all sorts of crazy ice cream sandwiches. And then also part of the business is Great Food Trucks, GR8 Food Trucks, which that is an event promotion business. So from that, I put on events, host, provide logistics, coordinate all that stuff. And then the nonprofit side of me, I'm just this year, 2024, was voted the president of the Grand Rapids Food Truck Association. So I've been a member of that for a while, been around that since it started, and then just recently took over as president. Essentially, I started with food trucks on the West Coast and out in Reno. And when out there, I was part of events, putting on events, had a truck, and then I was in the process of opening up another truck, and then had to move out here real quick for family, kind of suddenly. I moved out here in early summer of 16, and that was right when the food trucks really started kind of taking a foothold in Grand Rapids. 2014 is when What the Truck opened in Grand Rapids, and then they kind of picked up some more on 15, and then 16 they really kind of took hold, and there was about 10 food trucks in Grand Rapids at that time. At that time, Grand Rapids was not necessarily food truck friendly. It was very conservative, old dogs in positions of power and law, and restaurants controlled everything downtown. So they didn't like food trucks at all. The only way a food truck could be downtown was with a permit that a property owner had to pay, and it was like $2,000. And then that would allow food trucks to be able to park on your property. Food trucks weren't allowed anywhere on public property. And you also already had to be able to be licensed for food. So if your type of zoning or whatever wouldn't allow food, you couldn't apply for that permit either. And so, yeah, I moved out here. Funny enough, when I was looking for work out here, I kind of had the option. I got kind of offered a corporate restaurant gig because of my experience, got 15, 20 years in food and beverage, and turned that down to just get paid $12 an hour to work on somebody else's truck. Just because that's what I wanted to do, food trucking, and that was the best way to network. figure out how things worked here in Grand Rapids and get to know everyone. Um, and so yeah, and so that's what I did, and kind of just rebuilt myself and my businesses from the ground back up. Um, to me, food trucking is way different than um, restaurant and food and beverage life, and I love it. It's 1,000 times better. The best way I recommend or tell people the difference is in restaurants and that world, it's very competition driven. If you own a restaurant or managing a restaurant, you're like, why does that place across the street have more business than me? We need to get those customers over here. It's very me, me, me. Whereas with food trucking, it's kind of the opposite. It's very community driven. It's very much, hey, I'm going to park here. Why don't you come with me, because we're all going to do better when there's more of us together. And so that kind of mentality just was what I was drawn to, compared to that. I didn't like that competition. It's just negative. It's gross. I don't like it. And so yeah, and then I set out to put on food truck events that I was used to on the West Coast. We had a Food Truck Fridays out in Reno, and that's listed, honestly, right now, it's listed as one of the top 10 food truck events in the country. They have, right now, I think they have about 40 trucks every Friday, and they see about 20,000 people every Friday. And yet the size of Reno is only 300,000 people. So those numbers are crazy to think about, as that event being that big and that busy. Comparatively speaking, it just shows how much people support those things out there. I mean, Grand Rapids and its metroplex, so all the little surrounding cities all around it, we have 1 million, but Grand Rapids itself only has like 200,000. So there's a lot more people here, but they're still learning about food truck culture and food trucks and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I feel like I'm talking and taking over. So sorry.
Well, that's why we brought you. Everybody's tired of hearing us jabber on. So
What's
it's
this
good to have a
us?
change
It's
of-
mostly all Josh all the time. So
It is. It usually be. I haven't hardly talked at all today.
I can chime in on some of the stuff you guys were talking about earlier with the food truck parks. I know Josh mentioned Grand Rapids. There was a gentleman that was looking to open one. I don't know that that's happening anymore.
Okay.
The building that he supposedly bought is still listed as being for sale. I think maybe he got scared of Grand Rapids and chose.
I know that the public hearing didn't go probably the way he thought it was going to.
No, not at all. He has food truck parks in some other cities, and those other cities are very kind of touristy in the summer, and that is a very different market than Grand Rapids. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of tourists in Grand Rapids per se. We're not the beach. We don't have a lot of the cool stuff that Detroit has, where people will drive over there for that. So we have essentially regulars, and the thing is when you park your truck, or get trucks to park there regularly, it's no longer a food truck; it's a restaurant. It's a takeout restaurant at that point. You're no longer a food truck. Especially for like what he was demanding. He wanted everyone to switch over from propane to natural gas. He wanted them to be parked there permanently for 6 months, and this, that, and the next. But he also wanted to have his own restaurant inside, which was just going to cannibalize anybody that parked outside. Essentially, it would be a place that food trucks go to die, and it would be very unfortunate for anybody that's new to go there. They wouldn't really get a good foothold. The key to remember when you set up anywhere is how busy is that spot going to be. particularly a food truck park. A food truck park is, like I said, essentially it's a restaurant. Consistently, the person that does the best at a food truck park is whoever owns the food truck park and whoever owns the liquor license at the food truck park. That's the person that is making all the money. Because if you're a restaurant, you got to look at outward marketing to get people in. And particularly if that food truck park is not doing that, people are going to forget about you. That's why events and festivals work, is because that's something, oh, this is happening this day, this weekend. I want to go to that. I have to go to that. And so that's why you're getting those sales.
They're always top of mind.
Food truck park, it's, oh, I want ribs. And then you think, okay, so I want to go get ribs. Okay. So then you're just thinking, okay, well, who do I know that sells ribs? You're going through your Rolodex in your brain of what places sell ribs, what places you like that sell ribs, then what places are close. And you're just betting on the fact that someone remembers that food truck park and you're there per se, and you remember to show up in their Rolodex. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. And you're just kind of crapshooting it, taking a chance. Detroit, I mean, you have multi-millions of people across that whole area, and a lot of those places get thousands of people and whatnot, but they also have a lot of food trucks over there. They have a ton of food trucks, and so for them, setting up somewhere could be worth it, just because of it's worth not having to fight for an event space, not having to constantly hunt down events and festivals, not having to hunt down what place to park. So it's worth it to them to set up somewhere permanently, and they ultimately might be paying more than they should based on percentages. But it's worth it because you don't have to hunt for business, and you're just hoping that business is busy enough to justify you being there.
So what do you
we're
think?
Seeing an influx of trucks trying to come over here, honestly, too. So
what do you think about a well-established truck? I mean, doing a second truck that is more of a permanent setup. Once you're established, you have a following. If you have that location, is that a decent, in your opinion, for a second truck just to be a stationary truck?
If it's a second truck, yeah, it's not bad. It's a decent move, because then you, like I said, you're not having to worry about booking it. You're not having to worry about making sure it's constantly on the road, because as a food truck, any day that you're not having wheels on the ground, you're not making any money. And so you want to constantly keep that truck booked. Lauren from Patty Matters is a good example of that. She's constantly booking stuff, and she'll book things that, I mean, a lot of people might not take, because it's not going to be what we would consider normally great money. But at the end of the day, if you make $300 versus not going out at all, that's $300 extra bucks.
Yeah, it's more money.
And over the course of a week, that adds up.
Yep.
So
especially on a second truck, which she has two of now.
Exactly.
So. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I know there's been a couple, particularly like breweries out here, that have looked at Lost Art Burger as a prime example. They didn't have room for a kitchen, so they kind of added they opened their own food truck and kind of had the permanent kitchen out there.
Yeah.
So that they didn't have to.
Brings up bad memories for Josh.
I love the guys at Lost Art. They weren't as clear with their intentions when they bought that truck as they could have been. But
right. Well,
still love those guys. Yeah, we used to set up there
as a second truck. I think as a second truck option, it makes more sense than if it's your only truck.
Yeah.
So speak about Lost Art. So Lost Art, I know Josh, you were setting up there, and it was typically an okay spot, a good spot, good to
Yeah.
okay to good, whatever it is.
Good, yeah, good to great usually for us.
If they have their own truck, again, wouldn't the mentality of more trucks bring more money? Wouldn't that help out, or is there just not enough foot traffic coming into that brewery to justify two trucks?
I don't think there is there. Um, it's not a hugely populated area. There's not a ton of other business there. Um, I think they only have 30 seats inside, 20, 30 seats inside. Um, I mean, most of our business when we were set up there was coming from people that knew us versus people from inside. Majority. Um, we got plenty of people from inside. Um,
So now
and I
that they've
completely
had their truck for what, like a year?
two 2 years, I think. Yeah.
Year. It's been a year.
So is there a
Okay.
chance? Is there a chance now that their patrons might look for other options other than what they just their own thing? Or
No, because now they're a two truck organization now, and they leave one there, and then one goes out and does events
oh, okay,
because
okay.
because they realize
Yeah,
that they can make a lot more money going out to other stuff than having it parked at the brewery.
right, and they're apparently now working on a remodel to. I don't know how they're doing it, but they said that they're moving their truck inside,
Huh?
um, which legally I don't know how that's possible. Whether maybe it's they're just parking it close to the building, something legally. I don't know. I didn't ask questions, but I just know that's why they're not taking their truck out this year because of that. I was just like, okay,
Huh.
There's I've seen on
but
Bar Rescue, I think once or twice, that there's the building, and then there's a what they would be considered a covered patio, and then a food truck right there underneath the covered patio, not running, or not, the engine's not running or anything like that. It's plugged into power. Um, Obviously, propane might be the only thing, unless you can really, do natural gas. But
yeah,
I could see that.
here, here, unfortunately, we have some fire department people that let's just say they were very adamant about quote unquote fire safety.
Oh,
They have made up all sorts of rules that like you could drive your food truck through their loopholes of their logic, but they still won't back down on. When Grand Rapids, so in 2016, Grand Rapids was looking to adopt a food truck protocol, food truck policy, basically. And that's kind of where the Food Truck Association came about. It started in April of 2016. And the idea was for the Grand Rapids Food Truck Association to be essentially a food truck owners' chamber of commerce. And by the food trucks banding together, they could kind of push the city to adopt a food truck law and allow food trucks, basically. The other huge benefit that Grand Rapids had is that Grand Rapids has an organization that is a nonprofit that really the city looks to for most everything, called Downtown Grand Rapids Inc. And they're very versed in drafting laws, drafting policy, surveying restaurants, other businesses to get feedback from. And so the food truck, at that time, the Food Truck Association worked with Downtown Grand Rapids Inc. Um, when I moved out here, I actually worked on the truck of the guy that was the president of the Food Truck Association. So he would ask me a lot of things, and then take it back to that meeting. So that's how I kind of was always involved, even behind the scenes. But essentially, Grand Rapids, through them, those two organizations drafted a 2-year pilot program for food trucks to operate. And then after 2 years, they voted on whether or not to make it law. And then in 2018, they did. Obviously, one of the feedback things that was of concern was that, having food trucks downtown is going to drive away local businesses or local restaurants, blah, blah, blah. That same old BS argument that is outdated myth. It just doesn't exist. I've seen it firsthand out west in Reno, and this pilot program proved it. Downtown actually saw a large number of new restaurants open during that 2-year stint that food trucks were there. So that proved that food trucks aren't driving away business, but food trucks are not in competition with restaurants. We are a whole different experience than a restaurant. People that are going out to go to a restaurant, they're not going to be like, oh, well, shoot, there's a food truck right there. We're just going to go there instead. That's not how that works. Like, you go to a restaurant, you have that mentality. You're going to go sit down, you're going to relax. You're going to take your time. You're going to have a menu, you're going to look it over, you're going to order, you're going to hang out, you're going to converse with whoever you're at. It's been proven time and time again, the only competition that food trucks have that is considered competition is technically fast food and quick serve restaurants like Wingstop and all those places. So that is more of the actual competition of a food truck, because as we know, you have to, time is money. The faster you can get servings and portions out the door, the more money you can make, particularly at an event and festival. So that's kind of where people view food trucks as a higher class, quick serve thing. So yeah.
Alan, kind of a state of the union type of thing. What do you think the state of the food truck industry, at least in Grand Rapids area? I know you can speak to that probably pretty well. I know our numbers are growing rapidly. Do you think we're to the point where per capita we're saturated?
It depends on what your definition, like with most things, it depends on what your definition of saturated is. At this point, newer trucks will have a harder time, and they will every year from here on out, getting a foothold. More established trucks that have already been established will have less of a hard time staying busy. So 2016, Grand Rapids had 10 trucks that started in their licensing procedure with their pilot program. I got the updated list from the city the end of January. We now have 87 food trucks that are licensed just in Grand Rapids. I guarantee there's easily 13 more that don't want to get a Grand Rapids license that are operating right outside of Grand Rapids. So it's safe to say there's 100 food trucks in and around Grand Rapids area. And that doesn't include Muskegon, Grand Haven, Holland, doesn't include Lansing, doesn't include any of that. That's just Grand Rapids, up to Rockford, down to Hudsonville, Caledonia, all that stuff. So it just means that things are going to change and evolve like they always do. The thing that I've noticed very much so, particularly last year, is that things that are food truck labeled have kind of drawn stagnant. So for the last several years, food trucks, I mean, everyone knows Michigan is about 5 years behind trends and whatnot, particularly things from the West Coast. So up until now, it's like food trucks. Food trucks are awesome. I haven't eaten from a food truck. So you have a food truck event with advertising 20, 30 or more trucks. You're like, oh, cool. I got to go check that out because I see food trucks on TV all the time, but I haven't eaten from one, blah, blah, blah. Now there's enough trucks where you have a food truck at little Timmy's birthday party, 6-year-old birthday party. I've gotten requests for come out for a 1-year-old's birthday party. Like, yeah, no, sorry, not doing that.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. If they're paying you, why wouldn't you go out?
Because they're not paying me enough. Because it's 20 people. Like that's
At that
to me,
point,
that's
you
not
know
worth
that
it.
they're not going to do the minimum. Do you do a minimum ever,
Right.
Ellen?
I do minimum based on the event.
Yeah.
You got to remember, like, y'all have price points that are $15, $10. My price point's $6.
But if you
So
have you ever thrown out just what they call stupid money and see if stupid reacts?
I have, and I am very, in my experience, I'm very leery of doing that because if you throw out stupid money, then you generally have to deal with stupid people. So if you throw out an obnoxious number and they're willing to pay for that, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be the most Karen Bridezilla person ever that you will ever deal with. They like, your truck was too loud, or your truck dropped this piece of dirt on my driveway. You need to come here and sweep my driveway. I'm just throwing out stupid examples, but like particularly weddings. Like I don't do weddings very often. Um, Weddings are not my favorite. And that's just because doesn't my price point on my product doesn't correlate well. When you have a wedding per se, people are spending $30, $35, shoot up to $100 per person on food.
Yeah.
When it comes to dessert, they get stingy at paying $6 a person.
Makes sense.
And most weddings are 100 people to 200 people. So for me, yeah, it's like, okay, $500, $600, like, and most weddings want to be on a Friday or Saturday night. Like, sorry, that's not worth it to me. I'll go to an event and I'll make $3,000. So no, that's not gonna.
I'll be right back. My dogs are losing their ever loving minds outside for some reason.
Yeah.
Skippy, continue.
Oh boy.
So,
Okay. So
so yeah.
I get that, and that does make a lot of sense. So I'm in the Jackson area. If you're familiar with that, we have probably 20, maybe 15 to 20,000 people, and we have that I know of almost 30 food trucks within our little town. So what I did this year was try to start something to organize a group called we're going to call it the Jackson Food Truck Association, and we were tired of people, organizers, whatever, just charging whatever they want. So what we wanted to do was come up with our own events, and so we reached out to our parks department and would they let us do, and we had our at our first meeting we had like our downtown DDA who does like Food Truck Tuesdays. I think we blew her wig with all the stuff we wanted to see. I don't think she was prepared for that. So your association, do you focus on in-town trucks, or are you okay letting out of towners and people that if I were to come to Grand Rapids for one of your events, would I be welcome with you guys, or is it more of figuring out if it needs to be local people spending local money and keeping everything as local as possible?
So there's like an A, B, and C to that answer, to your question there. The first part there's two sides to that. There's what my company does, Great Food Trucks, and then there's the Food Truck Association. So we'll start with the Food Truck Association. And so the Food Truck Association being a nonprofit, it's a 501c6, which basically means that it's a nonprofit that is made up of other business owners. So best comparison would be a chamber of commerce. And so members are paying dues and everything else.
What are the dues?
It's $25 a month, so $300 for the year. And then the tricky part with that is that I wouldn't necessarily recommend anyone jump into starting a food truck nonprofit like that, um, unless you got the time. That's what's been the biggest challenge for the Grand Rapids Food Truck Association is it really formed. It had a purpose for forming, and that purpose was to create a food truck policy and create food truck law. So in Grand Rapids, and so once that happened, it kind of lost its focus in a way. For years, we've just kind of floated by, and then me taking over, my goal is to bring it back into focus and give it direction once again. Um, you have to be very tricky as that kind of nonprofit putting on events. There's certain rules and guidelines that you have to abide by. And the biggest one that can be a hiccup for you is if you grow. And one of those is any event that you as the organization are hosting and putting on, you cannot deny anybody that is a member at all. So anybody that's a member that wants to be there can be there. Currently,
you're saying that we can't limit it. So if we wanted to have a food truck rally and there's 24 members, we can't limit it to 10 people.
Nope. You have to have all 24 there. And if you have 7 shaved ice trucks and 6 barbecue trucks, then you have to allow all of them to be there. If you don't, you can be sued and you will lose. We went all through all of this with our lawyer and everything else, and it cost us a couple grand and just talking to a lawyer about these things. So as an association grows, that's something that can be a hiccup. And that's what we're looking at right now as we approach and go towards the future. We have 37 trucks, just under 40. So it's one of those, as the Food Truck Association grows, how is it to be able to put on events for that? The one thing you can do is if you are putting on reoccurring events, say like a Wednesday lunch at this place and it's this many weeks or whatever, you don't have to you can allow everybody to be there, but you have to be fair in the scheduling.
Yeah.
So as long as everyone that's there and everyone kind of has roughly equal days and no one feels like someone's getting more than others, and you can have then like only 3 trucks, 2 trucks, but as long as you rotate it out so that everyone that wants to be there can be there, that works.
Makes sense.
So that's kind of one of the biggest hangups. The other thing too is being a nonprofit. Most nonprofits, you have people that are able to dedicate time to work towards your values, work towards your mission. Food truck owners don't have a lot of time, particularly come May through September.
Are you talking about like board positions and things like that?
Yeah, if you as an associate, if you're a food truck nonprofit, like we tend to say that food truck owners work in silos. Most owners kind of focus on their business. Most owners don't really kind of focus on what else is around them. But yeah, your board positions, trying to have any kind of member involvement is a challenge. Particularly if you're trying to change something and you need member engagement to be able to get votes, to be able to change, because everything you do has to be voted on.
Yeah.
Has to come to a vote. It's tough to get that involvement to even get votes for people to respond back to you to vote for anything. And most of the work that you are able to do kind of has to be in the winter months, because come summer, everyone's just on autopilot. They're just doing their thing, and you're not gonna have much time to do anything else.
Makes sense. Do you have to be a nonprofit?
No, that's the other thing. That's the other side of that coin is my company, GR8, Great Food Trucks. So I put on events, and I kind of am able to do all of the things. I can still do pretty much all the things that the nonprofit aspect of it does, just without that title of nonprofit. So,
Okay.
like, I don't have members per se. Any truck that I work with, I have just have an email contact. So, I mean, I have 150 trucks in my contacts list, and I have another 20, 30 tent vendor type vendors. And so at that point, you're essentially a business. And so, yeah, me have discretion per se over how many barbecue trucks, how many shaved ice trucks have per an event type of thing. And so you're not hindered by those hamstrings by those rules and those guidelines in that sense. The other sense is it's a lot more work, because now, rather than having a group that can help do all these things, particularly with an event, um, it comes down to me and my wife when I can have her help me. But putting on an event is a lot, and unless you are able to multitask like crazy, it's going to be hard for anybody to do, because there's just so much that you have to do. Um, and Grand Rapids makes it even tougher. Like, they have all sorts of silly rules that they make you, and hoops that make you jump through. Um, and so that just adds more work to your plate. But the thing is, too, is to operate in Grand Rapids, you need a Grand Rapids food truck license. So,
How much is that?
as the state of Michigan has your STFU license, which is like your standard food truck license, even though I know
Yeah.
the acronym is stupid. I don't know why they changed that. And you have your mobile vending license.
Because
So
that's what
those are
they
your,
want us to do.
right. And so you have those two licenses that you get from the state, through your health department. And we basically say the only thing that those licenses are good for is allow you to pay for more licenses. Because that's pretty much about it. Because around here, like, you really can't operate anywhere with that. So Grand Rapids itself, they keep raising that rate and adding more stipulations to it and everything else. So now the Grand Rapids license, $327 for the year.
Jeez.
If you add a second truck, they've upped that now to $20. So you don't have to pay that $370 per truck. You can just pay $20 to add that license to your second truck. Wyoming, which is right next door, they were like $150, but if you have your Grand Rapids license, then they've lowered it, I think, now down to $50. Allegan has one that's only like $10. Muskegon has their own. Holland is now working on their own. Allendale is working on their own. All these cities and townships are saying, like, oh, well, wait, we can make money off these guys. So yeah,
It's a
let's
straight
make
up
a
cash
license.
grab. It's been a
Yeah,
cash
so
grab.
let's make
ever
a
since.
license so we can make money off of them. So that's the thing, is you have to, like, the Grand Rapids Food Truck Association, one of the requirements is you have to be licensed in Grand Rapids. So we do have trucks that are from Kalamazoo. We have several trucks that are from Kalamazoo and other areas. We have one truck that's from Battle Creek, and they're members. They pay for the Grand Rapids license. For them, it is worth it to make that drive, because the events in Grand Rapids are apparently more lucrative to them than the events in and around their area. And maybe too, because the events in Grand Rapids, they can come up here for 3-4 events that are big and still hit their local area, their local market, and all that stuff, local catering. And they're going to make that money to where that license is justified, the drive is justified, and everything else. And that's what it all boils down to for every food truck owner and everything you do is the most important thing I can stress is knowing your numbers, knowing your food costs, knowing what you can afford to spend on certain things. And like the base rule is 10%. So like if I'm setting up an event per se, and whatever I'm paying, if I'm paying $100, then I'm going to expect to make $1,000 minimum at that event. If I don't, then I look at, okay, well, how much did I make? Is it close to that? Was there traffic? What was the issue? And then it's like, then it's just, okay, well, I just won't do this event again. And then there's others that, okay, I paid $100 and I do way more than 1,000. So then, yeah, it's obviously super worth it. But that's the unfortunate side of things, that where we're at right now everywhere, and this will include Jackson as well, is by having so many trucks, it becomes impossible to hold that wall with banding together and telling events, no, we're not going to pay that.
Yeah.
We were able to do that in the beginning in 2016. There was only 10 of us. And so at that time, the radio stations were putting on events and they were trying to charge 20-25% for an event. And we basically said, no, we're not doing that. And eventually they stopped. And so the problem is now with so many, they're going to find somebody. Somebody's going to do it. They're not going to care that I'm paying. They're not going to care paying $500, paying $800, paying $1,000, $2,000 to get into this event. Odds are they don't know their own numbers. They haven't thought about that. I've shocked and amazed at how many food truck owners I meet every year that have never worked or had food experience ever in their life, but decide to open a food truck and think it's a retirement option.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Well, you learn very quickly that the national average of lifespan for a food truck is 3 years. And we didn't have that for a long time. And we're going to start seeing that now, because people are going to realize how much work it actually is. I've been saying to everyone, the glory days of food trucking in Grand Rapids are behind us. We had it easy up until now. There's a lot of businesses. There's a lot of corporations in this area. So there's a lot of catering options. There's a lot of events. There's a lot of festivals. There's a lot of those options. And we kind of had pick of the litter for years. And now there's more trucks. It's going to be harder for anybody new. But that's why I see that anybody that's established, that's going to be less of an issue for. People have seen you around. They see your name. They know your name. They're more likely to book based on that. And you're going to get.
And they're likely to seek. They're likely to seek you out versus you seeking them out.
Right. And so I don't necessarily have to go searching for events per se for my company. I get enough that come to me that I don't have to go seeking events. And a large part of that too is I'm hindered by my business being split. Like when you mentioned earlier, like, well, why don't you take that 25 person party? If I wasn't splitting my business and doing events too, and my underground cookie club was just my thing, I probably would. Unfortunately, I have so much that I have to try and do in a day. I have to leave money on the table in that sense, because I have to look at, okay, is doing this little tiny event worth losing the time that I'm going to spend on something else? And most of the time it's not. So unfortunately, I have to get a little stingy in some of the events that I do and leave money on the table in that sense, because I have to do other things to put on events and all that. So
I got a couple of things I want to get to, Alan, since we have
Yep.
you. I noticed that Food Truck Fridays is kind of moving locations a little bit down the park. I'm guessing away from some problem neighbors.
Yep.
I also noticed that there is about a month less of them. What was the reasoning
Yep.
behind that?
So all essentially the same reason type of thing. So the spot that we were at was well established. We had been going on 7 years in that location. We had worked with the parks department for all of that time. That spot of Riverside Park was hard clay, and anybody that knows Grand Rapids and knows Riverside Park, it's pretty much always underwater. It's super soft. Getting food trucks on grass is, you get any kind of rain and it's going to be a challenge. It's going to tear it up. You're going to get stuck. Whereas the spot that we were at was hard clay. Didn't matter if it rained even up until that day, unless it was just downpouring for a week. We weren't going to affect the grass. And so we're also in a spot that wasn't really used. It's used by cross-country teams and disc golf, and that's pretty much about it. Well, apparently there's a small set of neighbors across the way that wanted us gone, and they made it their entire summer mission to get the event canceled. And I say that because everyone's like, well, why didn't you reach out to them and offer them this or that? And yeah, we did. From week one, basically, we addressed everything that they raised as their concern, and we offered remedies on how to fix it. And every time we would offer a remedy, they would ignore that offer and move on to a different complaint. So it just shows that they didn't really care about that. Wasn't really an issue. They just wanted to complain.
Mm-hmm.
They had issues with people parking near their driveway, just near their driveway. Like they would send pictures of literally someone parking at the edge of their driveway, which
legally parking.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Technically, I didn't know it was a rule, but in Grand Rapids, you're not allowed to park within 3 feet of a curb cut. So I don't know that anybody knows that rule ever. So, but apparently that's a rule.
Until you
and
have
apparently
to.
These people know that rule, and nobody else does, but these people do, because that's what they're complaining about. Is they're parking too close to their driveway, not blocking it, but too close to it. And so we offered to come out before every event, put cones by their driveway, and they, nope, that's not good enough. We would hear them use phrases like, those people, we're bringing those people to their park in their area, that we're bringing those people that use drugs and violence and crime, whereas all the other neighbors have telling us that our event has deterred all of that stuff from what it used to be. Riverside Park used to be bad. People were getting murdered on the trails and left in the woods over there back in like the 70s and stuff.
Well, they'd rather have that than the carnies
right.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have carnies.
all the food truck operators are
perceived carnies, yeah.
Right. Perceived carnies.
And so essentially they were emailing the city, no joke, 20 emails every single week, just complaining about something, recycling the same complaints over and over again. At one point I heard from one of the neighbors that was pro the event that they came over to the event, literally bought beer at the event with the sole intent to try and walk out with it, just to make sure that security was going to stop them. And they did. And so they were like, told this other neighbor, well, I'm glad that they stopped us, because they would just, otherwise we could just walk out with it. I'm like, oh my God. And then another time they were like walking around, taking pictures of the fence every which way, and to send those pictures in, even though there's nothing wrong with the fence. They were complaining that we had dogs at the event, even though that's completely up to us, whether or not we want to allow dogs. But because the the event guideline overarching states that animals are prohibited, but it's event by event by event. So it states that, but if you want to allow it, you certainly can. And so because these guidelines overstated it, they were saying that we're breaking the law because there's dogs there.
Breaking the law.
And so they actually even emailed the city of Grand Rapids' lawyer saying that the Office of Special Events was breaking the law, and sent the pictures that there's dogs and blah blah blah. And the lawyer basically told them that, thank you, we trust the city of Grand Rapids Office of Special Events, have a nice day. So
moving a little bit north.
Yeah, so ultimately we had to move north because that's where previous events at Riverside were held. Was in the north end. The thing that I was okay with was that the Parks Department basically decided to take down all of the baseball Little League fencing that was there, because the Little League had disbanded about 2 years ago and it was just sitting vacant and it was becoming overgrown. Some of it got destroyed from the tornado that we got last year. So the Parks Department decided just to go ahead and take all of that down, take out the dugouts, take out the fencing and all that stuff. And so that area in particular is going to be kind of where we set up. And so it's firmer ground. It provides us right next to the road. It provides us a large open area. So because of that, I was okay with that. And then the shorter aspect of it was one of their other complaints was that, oh, this event takes up our entire summer. We can never have guests over on a Friday night. It's like, bitch, nobody likes you. Nobody's coming over on Friday night to you. Like, and bring them to Food Truck Fridays. Like, go to Food Truck Fridays with your guests on a Friday night. But that was their complaint, is that we took up the entire summer. They never had a Friday night, blah, blah, blah. And so the city kind of really pushed for us to shorten it because of that, to try to address as many of these complaints as we could.
Blah, blah, blah.
And so we almost had to shorten it to just May and June, almost like half it. So it was going to be 7-8 weeks, and that was it. We were able to extend it a little bit more. So now we're at 11 weeks this year, whereas previously we were at 16 weeks. So it's good and it's bad. I think it's honestly going to be, it's bad because I know a lot of trucks are very much dependent on having those dates and having those times, and it's a good solid moneymaker for trucks. The other side of the coin is I think it'll make the other dates busier, because it creates more of a sense of limited time. It's like May and June are super busy months, and then July through August things kind of teeter down and level out. That's when everyone's going on vacation, and then August people are going back to school, and it's very much the sense of, well, I don't need to go this week. It's next week. I'll go next week, or you just kind of keep pushing it off in your head, similar to like I said earlier, like a restaurant. Whereas making it shorter is going to create more of that thinking of, I have to go to this if I want to enjoy it while I can. So fingers crossed it makes it the rest of the dates busier.
And a dry summer this year.
Right. Dry, and it actually does what they say it's going to do.
Yeah, that'd be good. One more event type of interesting note I saw from, let's head over to Kentwood and what was Food Truck Festivals, and a kind of rebranding of that, where food truck is no longer the title of the event anymore. And they're going to limit the number of trucks. I'm assuming they've listened to the trucks that were there. Did you work with them at all in kind of this rebranding?
Yeah, that was kind of me, working with them, talking with them, and because I heard it from the trucks, and I know, like I said, I was seeing it all last year, things that were labeled as food truck events. Obviously, Food Truck Fridays is an exception because that's an experience. That's a completely different experience than setting up on concrete and calling it a food truck event type of thing. And I know a lot of the trucks were not doing as well as they had, and they were thinking there was too many. So the city of Kentwood is great to work with. They're open to that kind of feedback and stuff. And so we had a meeting in the off season, and I kind of let them know about what I was seeing as trends and suggested that they maybe take those two events and rebrand more as something Kentwood related or something that Kentwood is doing. And so takes that focus away. And part of that was because, like I said, little Timmy's birthday party has a food truck now. So people are going to go to a food truck everywhere. And the other thing is Kentwood, people from Grand Rapids don't want to drive to Kentwood. People from Kentwood will go to Grand Rapids, but not the other way around. And so the traffic that you're getting at Kentwood is going to be from Kentwood, from Caledonia, from those southern suburban areas. You'll get a few from Grand Rapids, but not that many. And so you want to make it more about Kentwood itself. And then with that, I suggested decreasing the number of trucks that were there. In the past, they never were keen on having, like, say, arts and crafts vendors at these events. However, I was able to kind of talk them into adding those as a way to supplement the budget that they were losing by not having those 10 trucks. They were able to bring in 20 artisan crafts vendors, and it was able to kind of keep about the same as far as their budget and their balance and all that stuff. So so that's why Kentwood has shifted like that. And I think that's one reason too why I took a step back from the amount of events I was doing. And on top of last year was just stressful beyond all get out. And so I didn't want to go through that for a second year. And so I decided just to kind of pull back and just focus on Food Truck Fridays, and not try to do all these other ones. That might change next year. We might add one or two more, but just keep evaluating kind of where the market and the trends are going, and kind of go from there. So.
Are you familiar with the Grand Rapids Foodie Fest?
I am.
I'm not asking
What do you want to know?
specifically about that one, but I'm asking about the one in Marshall, which is so I did. It's Memorial Day weekend, and they asked if I wanted to sign up for it. It's like $125. So it's not overly bad, but Memorial Day weekend.
So, right. I'm not going to say anything negative, but I will spit out some facts for you.
Facts are great. I like facts. Facts are fun.
I know they're trying to bill it as the largest tri-state, blah blah blah. Last year was the first year they did that one, and it was only 20 trucks. I mean, I have more trucks literally at Food Truck Fridays than they had at that whole event. When they claim that they have X amount of vendors, they are including sponsor vendors. So T-Mobile, Cricket, arts and crafts vendors. So when they say they have 20 or 30 plus vendors, they're counting them in that number. Because to them it helps with their promotion. They have this huge number.
Numbers are numbers.
Yeah. The trucks that I know that did it last year said it was okay because of the fee. It wasn't anything spectacular. Yeah. I know they did a vote for your best food truck. The best food truck gets a cash prize. I know that a lot of the vendors there were not too keen on the fact that their own operation was the one that won first place.
Of course.
And it's a
course.
tent operation that they didn't think was very busy at all during the day. So
It's fantastic.
that's kind of suspect. Makes me believe that they just didn't want to pay out that $1,000. I also heard that they weren't parking was free, but then at the last minute they decided they wanted to charge for parking because that was going to be more money in their pocket because the site wasn't going to charge for parking. So they decided last minute to charge for parking. And they got tore to shreds in the comments about that event.
I can imagine.
As a result, the Foodie Fest, if you're a truck, obviously you need a Grand Rapids license still to be able to do that event. In the years past, the previous 2 years, it's been about $500 for a truck for the weekend. This year, they decided to double that and make it $1,000 vending fee. And they cited purely as the reason is by quote unquote looking at what other events were charging and decided to charge more. Had nothing to do with their budget, nothing to do with that, which is how other events
That's ballsy.
determines their fee. They literally said it had everything to do with what they saw other events charging, and they wanted to charge more.
Okay.
I know.
So the organizers can be a little sketch.
Yeah, and they signed up for an event with me with their little tent operation, and then decided to back out last minute and didn't pay. So I have my own personal beliefs on them. I won't do their events. I know Kona Ice, they've had a couple ice trucks do their events, and all day their event's long. It goes from like 10 to 10 or something like that.
Long.
That's a long day. And the ice trucks, I know, and it was hot, only did like $650, which is not good numbers at all. And so from what I heard for the 4th of July one, that it was okay. But again, at that rate of $500, okay is different than a rate of $1,000.
It's just weird that they choose to do them right around holidays.
Right.
You know, 4th of July one, people are going to their lake house. You know, Memorial Day, it's like the start of camping.
I think the reason for that is that they could not get Calder Plaza any other time. Calder Plaza is literally booked the entire year. I couldn't book an event at Calder during the summer. Now if I tried on a Friday or Saturday. So that was probably literally the only weekend. So that was probably, if they wanted at Calder, that was their only option, was that 4th of July weekend.
Gotcha.
I know there was a barbecue truck that was there last year. Sunday it rained and a lot of the vendors didn't show up. He did, and I know he did phenomenal and sold out, but as we all know, what one person sells out with is different from somebody else.
For sure.
Yep.
Like you could bring enough for 20 people and sell out, and think that's great. Where 20 people is not good for me.
Right.
Like how much did you bring? Like selling out, it doesn't really mean much unless you know how many they sold or whatever. So So.
Okay, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, there's a lot.
That's what I know about those events.
Yeah, the reason we tried to do, or we're trying our food truck association, we really haven't gone to the nonprofit agency. We kind of made it for food trucks so we can have a one-stop shop for anything in our area. You know, I went to your website. You have a contact us.
Sucks, by the way.
it is basic. I mean, it's what we're looking to do. Is like here's your one-stop shop. We want to make it so anybody in our area, if they need a food truck for someone, doesn't go out of town. There's enough cuisines in our area that's there. So that's kind of why we started it. But I like hearing what you're talking about. Definitely gives me some ideas.
Well, and one of the things too that you guys could do is one of the things that I've implemented this year and that we're working on with the association is we've created a brochure for the Food Truck Association, and essentially that has just a brief little bit about it. But when you open it up, the inside of the brochure is a directory of all of its members, and it has their name of their truck, a brief 2-3 words of the type of food they serve, their email, and their website, and it has just got the directory list of everyone. And so the plan is to have those brochures and leave stacks of them at the breweries. They can have them on their trucks. They can have them at the Office of Special Events, and so that could be an option y'all might want to consider.
Bye, Skippy.
Then everyone,
I'm just trying to play.
then all of you guys can have a stack and hand them out and everything else, and you don't necessarily need so much of a formal organization. You can have a kind of a less than formal organization and still create
Now you can see me.
what you want.
No, I like that idea. That's I really like that. Yeah, we're trying to get big on local stuff. You know, a lot of us have followings, and then other people don't have any followings, and it's weird that people in my town still have never heard of me. And I'm on social media all the time. I don't know how you cannot have heard of me, good or bad, whatever it may be.
I'll go to an event and people still haven't heard of me, and the shit that I do is kind of crazy.
What is your favorite
following? And
what is your? I'm looking at the backside of your food truck. What is your favorite ice cream sandwich?
See, I can't pick that. That's like children. I created them all. I can't pick one or the other. That's not fair.
Okay, give me your top two. Like, throw something out there. Like, what's your go-to? How about that? What's your go-to?
Let's say our top seller is easily our Baby O, which is a mint brownie and mint chocolate chip ice cream. I mean, that's kind of a standard that people are going to have.
That's pretty fantastic.
Our Chubby Unicorn was our signature one for so long. That's the one that's pictured on all of our stuff. Superman ice cream, and then sugar cookie with sprinkles on top. But the way we do it is that the Superman ice cream is actually layered since we're making it ourselves. So we can create a nice layered effect through the ice cream sandwich. But yeah, we have some.
Do you have anything peanut butter?
The Elliot is the one that we have right now. That's peanut butter. It's peanut butter.
Elliot.
Exactly. And it's a peanut butter chocolate ice cream. We make a peanut butter chocolate, like a Reese's Pieces flakes. So we kind of make like instead of like peanut butter cups, they're like chocolate flakes, but they're peanut butter chocolate flakes. That's mixed into the ice cream. We have a peanut butter cookie, and then we add Reese's Pieces and peanut butter chips on top of that cookie. So that's the one that we always have on our menu. That's a peanut butter option.
If you ever want to drive the 2 hours to Jackson, let me know. I'll get you hooked up.
Well, we do.
Alan, is your brick and mortar open all winter, or do you shut that down for the winter too?
No, it's generally open all year. We close over the Christmas break. We are closed currently. We plan to reopen on Valentine's Day. We closed because my walk-in freezer that had all my product decided to stop working one day, and I walked in and everything was toast. So luckily it's the winter and we didn't have a whole lot compared to what we have in the summer. So we just kind of decided January is a slow month anyway, so we just decided to stay closed for that month. And so now we're working on making stuff again and look to reopen in February. But yeah, we're open Wednesday through Sunday. So
do you have anything vegan?
Yeah. Not at the moment. During the summer we do. During the summer we have 3 ice cream sandwiches that are vegan, and we have one that's gluten-free as well.
Okay, that's cool.
But during the winter, we don't sell it enough to make it, since we have to make everything in large batches. It just doesn't move.
I go to Ann Arbor a lot, and I get asked for vegetarian. Like, I'm a barbecue truck, but I get asked for vegetarian all the time. So I created a vegetarian plate, which is all 3 of our sides. Sell the shit out of it too. So
we still get asked for vegan.
There was Daddy Pete's at their location for a long time. Him and his wife went vegan, kind of for health reasons and whatnot, and so they started actually barbecuing vegan, and kind of got pretty popular with that, doing like jackfruit and all that stuff and whatnot. But so they were doing that for a couple of years and sold it pretty well. So
good for them.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Service their community.
Skippy, if you don't have anything else, I think we can. We'll let Alan enjoy the rest of his sunny Michigan day. I appreciate you being on and talking to us about all things Grand Rapids food truck stuff. So,
anytime, guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You have a good day. When you log off, just make sure it says uploaded in this corner of your screen when you sign off. So, and then you can go ahead and take a look. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thanks, bud.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too.
He just got his information out to the tens of listeners that we have.
It is a weirdly slow day today. I don't know, but we had our probably our best single week, at least in the last year, might be in the 2 years we've been doing it. So as far as downloads go.
Fantastic.
Yes, thank you, everybody. We definitely have gotten some new listeners over the past couple weeks. Currently, we are number 227 in the Apple charts for food podcasts. Thank you, everybody, for that. Make sure that you do subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you're listening to your podcast, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, all of those places.
Y'all are great.
Y'all are great. And make sure you also follow us on Facebook at Monday Morning Food Truck, and also individually PB&J's Barbecue, Sweet Rex, and Smoking Butts Barbecue. And go over to Underground Cookie Club. If you are on the west side of Michigan, get one. And Alan probably won't like me saying this, but they are big enough to share. I have yet to eat a whole one. They are delicious.
I'll be damned.
I know, it's amazing. They are delicious, but they're large. So thank you, everybody, for today and the conversation during our little session today. Sorry we went long, but yeah.
Peace
Skippy,
out.
you got anything? Next Monday, we'll be moving back to our normal time slot of 9 o'clock. So Angie's back to work, so I have to get kids back on the buses on Mondays.
Oh, good to know. Good to
yes.
know.
So
to know.
I have to get them on the bus at 8:30 every other week.
So everybody knows I found out when you did.
Yes. So yeah, the kids go on the bus at 8:30, so we'll have to slide back to 9 o'clock. So which is our normal time. So and then hey, we open in 5 weeks. Full time. Where are you at? You got it marked?
I have an event on Sunday the 18th.
Of March?
Yeah, Sunday the 18th. This Sunday.
This Sunday's the 11th.
The month of that we're in the Sunday that would be located.
February 18th. Got it. But when are you open full time?
To be determined, actually.
What?
So
to be determined.
Yeah, that'll be we're gonna talk next week about that.
All right, cool. Look forward to that conversation. As always, send in your questions and comments so we can have new things to talk about.
Both of us have Super Bowl menus going. Order from the air.
Yeah, my pre-order ends today at 5. We might extend it another day, but it's been a little lackluster. I blame the Lions.
Rib tips.
See that sign down there? It says rib tip. Screw that.
All right, guys, have a good one.
All right, guys, have a good one. Bye. See ya.